Welcome to episode 2 of what I'm calling the Manta Saga, where I'm trying to document building, assembling, customizing, and painting the biggest model Games Workshop produces, the Tau Manta. Hi, my name's Nick. Welcome to Play on Tabletop. We're mostly known for our high-end battle reports, well-edited, highly polished kind of things, 40K in 40 minutes. But a while back, we made a pledge. When we got to 1,000 patrons, we were going to buy and build the Tau Manta. It's one of the most expensive models Forge World makes, as well as I think it's still the biggest. And it's definitely been, in my experience, one of the hardest models I've ever done. And I've been locking myself in my garage most evenings for the past couple months working on it. At the same time, I challenged another channel, Squidmar Miniatures, to see if we could build ours first, naively thinking I could do it. Couldn't be that hard, right? Well, if you're a regular watcher, you know how that's going. This project has been the most challenging model I have ever worked with. Like ever. Ever since I started 40K and got in love with the Tau, I've always dreamed about owning and building one of these, and I never imagined being able to do so. So in many ways, this is a dream project. But this kit is almost 2 decades old, and it's showing its age. For instance, the instructions are really rough. They're sometimes unclear. There's spelling mistakes in them.
Allowing access to U-tanks by the Manta.
And these older Forge World kits, well, are tougher to assemble. I've assembled some of the newer kits and they go together really well, but some of these older kits, they're showing their age. And in many ways, I feel like we're kind of spoiled these days. Modern GW kits, plastic and resin, go together to hide seams, to make it easy to assemble, but the design on how some of these go together, not as good. Or maybe they just didn't have access to the same kind of tools they do today. Different kind of CAD software perhaps, or maybe just different resin casting abilities. Like for instance, I've encountered several parts that were warped, that I had to bend back in shape, that they wouldn't go together easily. Some of the parts were really easy to reshape. Get boiling hot water, pour in the plastic, you can bend it back into shape, and when it cools, it's straight. However, some of these bigger pieces, you can't just do that with. The worst though have been these little burst cannons. These little tiny burst cannons. There's 16 of them. There's 16 of these things. There are 4 stems that come together and they're so finicky, and almost all of them were bent. The design on how they go together is just not good. The modern crisis suits with burst cannons, they go together much easier with 2 snap fits and they just done. Where you gotta kind of bend these into place and So I tried to straighten them first with hot water. It mostly worked. Got my son then to help me assemble them on the little turrets that they go on. Even with that help, I just couldn't get them looking nice. They often looked bent or warped or just wonky. So I actually ended up printing my own based upon the stealth suit design, because I've always liked the stealth suit design, and I 3D printed them, glued them on, and I gotta say I like the way they look. And it's a whole lot easier. So yes, I've encountered a lot of challenges, and it might feel like I'm not enjoying it. And although there haven't been challenges, it has been really cool. Like as I said before, this is a dream project to be able to do, and I'm really excited to keep working on it. I've also learned a lot. For instance, I learned what a hacksaw was, and even then further in the video, I also learned what a coping saw was. So yeah, I'm learning lots. I've also been able to have some really cool interactions with some of our patrons who have been trying to help me out. One thing one of the patrons helped me design was these custom cockpit doors so that you could see inside, kind of like a shield generator kind of look. And one even came over and helped me design some of the LED lights. So time to finally start assembling this thing. This is the main part of the Manta, infantry part here, the front is right here. I'm gonna try a 2-part epoxy glue. I've experienced how strong it is, and hopefully it'll do the trick here. I did a lot of dry fitting first to try to make sure it would fit perfectly, And they didn't. I ended up having to cut this lip off here so that I could get both sides lining up properly. Once done, I scored the resin where the glue goes and roughened it up with sandpaper to give it a bit more stick. So one of the next steps was to try to assemble this infantry bay door. It goes on the back here and it fits on these little grooves here. It was incredibly tough to fit on because it was slightly bent in. So I had to dunk it in hot water. I managed to bend it back and it did fit in a lot better. However, I had to really yank and press hard and clamp it down to make sure it fit. The whole piece was like creaking and groaning as I'm like squishing on these clamps and trying to just hold it on. It wasn't easy, and it actually broke more than a couple times and I had to scrape it off and re-glue it. Before I could go any further on that though, I had to paint some of the interior. So at this point, I did my first bit of painting because this interior up here where the crew compartment is not gonna be accessible after it's all assembled. So first of all, I tried to prime it with some airbrushing and the paint didn't stick at all. So I did more cleaning. I tried cleaning with IPA, alcohol. I've been told that works really well. And then I tried again. It still didn't work with an airbrush or with regular paint. And so what I was told is that a rattle can, like a spray can, would probably have better success. I wiped it down really clean. I used Vallejo Hobby White Primer, and it actually did the trick. It stuck and it painted and it came on great. Then I was able to paint some of the crew. I'm painting them orange jumpsuits for play on orange, and then I'm putting name tags on each of them. I put the first couple name tags for our play on members because I am going to put every single one of our patrons as of this recording, so around 1,300 patrons, on this Manta. There are 6 crew that are gonna get special placement: the pilot, the co-pilot, the engineer, the weapon specialist, the communication specialist, and the navigation specialist. And then there's 48 fire warriors that we're gonna choose from some of our top patrons. And then all the other patrons are also gonna be put on the wings. I've translated all their names into Tau. I've got big long lists of custom decals that I'm gonna be placing onto the bottom of the wings. I might have to go with just the first name though, because when I printed it all out, it was 4 pages, single spaced at 10-point font. So we're gonna have to do some experimenting there to see what's gonna work best. But there is a lot of space on this thing, because this thing is huge! As I've been assembling this, a lot of thought has had to go into the LEDs because I have a lot of LEDs planned for this. And so I've got to take that into account when I'm assembling this because there's gonna be a lot of places where I'm gonna need to drill holes that won't be accessible later. I've got a total of almost 50 LEDs spread throughout this Manta. And that has understandably slowed down this assembly process quite a bit. I bought all of the LEDs actually from a company called Evan Designs, an online company that I bought them all through their website. They actually had a really cool selection of all sorts of regular lights, regular LEDs, batteries, clips of all sorts, and some cool effect ones like these breathing LEDs. If you're looking for ready to go LED kits for Warhammer, this is a solid option. They've actually given us an affiliate link that if you purchase the LEDs through us, you can support the channel as well, and you can also get a 15% discount with the code in the description below. But enough about LEDs and lights for now. I am gonna do a full LED video next and show you how I did all of it. Wait. It's a happy turret. It's a happy turret. All of them are like that. Aww. They're all happy to kill you. So I left it to dry overnight, and it didn't work. The glue didn't hold, and there was just too much pressure, because this piece right here is bent slightly, and it doesn't quite fit, which means that these pieces, the wing pieces, and the engine pieces can't fit on it flat. I'm essentially trying to force it to be flat. So I'm gonna try one more time, But now I have to scrape off all of the glue from all of this and all the edges, clean it, and try again. To be honest, I'm getting a little discouraged at this point. I've been at this for almost 2 months and the thing is still not assembled. Well, I think this is at least partially why it wasn't gluing. I had spray painted this, there was overspill of the spray paint, and I had spray painted this part here where it's supposed to glue. Primer isn't really sticking very well to the model in the first place. This paint is just coming off super easy, which means trying to glue to paint was probably a poor idea. So I'm gonna scrape off this paint, sand it down, and try again. All right, let's see. It's staying! It's strong! We can finally move on to the wings. Ah! These wings are tough and there's not much for it to hold on to. So I decided to try pinning it. Using brass rod, I've measured it twice to make sure it lines up. Lots and lots of glue, putting it on. Final step is really just getting the tank bay underneath to fit. I've got quite a bit of sanding to do to get them to fit in, but now it's done. The Manta is assembled. I can finally start painting this. I'm ecstatic, I'm so excited. So the plan is flat white over the whole thing, very similar to a lot of my towel that already exists. Towel markings, I'm gonna put some towel stripes along here, kind of similar to the backdrop of our set at the Play On Studio. And then some weathering and some probably red and blue markers to probably tie it into my army a little bit. Then some decal work, some weathering, and this thing's gonna fly. And then the next step is to finish all the LEDs. I've got my friend Darren coming back to help more with the LEDs. I've got the engine lights glowing, they look awesome. I've got most of the lights strung through. I've got to connect it all, make some custom pieces to hold the battery and the chips, and it's gonna dominate the battlefield. Thanks for watching this journey into building this beast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Hope you had fun. And if you like it, like, subscribe, all those things. It helps the channel out quite a bit. And I just want you to know, if you have any suggestions for this or anything you want to tell us, please comment. We love reading the comments. And I want you to know we read every single comment. We're not able to respond to everyone like we used to because, well, we just get too many. But we love reading them and we thank you so much for them. And until next time we see you, as always, play on.